Morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Good. It's a glorious sunny day and we're sitting in a very nice boardroom looking out over Geelong at the boardroom of Barwon Water.
That's right. And Mark, by the time people hear today's podcast, you will have probably been and gone and come back from Japan.
I will. Looking forward to that little
Right.
trip. Yes, one of my favourite countries.
That's good. And I will have rowed in the Victorian Masters rowing competition, which was for us on Sunday. And we need to improve our performance because the average age is about 76 and we seem to always come third out of three, right?
That doesn't matter. You just tell people you came third.
That's
don't
right.
go any further.
Exactly.
Than that. No,
All
that's
right,
cool.
Mark. So who's today's guest?
So today's guest is somebody that I've been really keen to get to meet and chat to, Shaun Cumming. Welcome,
Good morning,
Shaun.
Mark. Good morning, Bill.
Yeah, good morning, Shaun.
Managing Director of Barwon Water. And we interviewed Shaun's chair, Joe Plummer,
Yes, we did.
some time back. And Joe's been nagging me that we need to chat to Shaun. And Shaun has been quietly trying to ignore us, but we finally pinned him down.
You got me.
We got him. And we're really looking forward to finding out about your journey, Shaun.
Excellent. Yeah, look
good
forward to
And
having
Mark,
a chat.
the location's not too bad either.
The location's magnificent. And it's
Yeah.
sun streaming in. I
sun
love
is
it.
That's
streaming
right.
in.
And we're looking
Beautiful.
at over a really interesting precinct in Geelong, and right directly opposite, we're looking at the dome on top of the library.
Yeah, it is an amazing precinct here in terms of the art centre, the gallery, the library,
Yeah.
Johnson's Park. Yeah, it's an
Superb.
awesome place to work.
So let's begin, Shaun. So primary school. Where did you go to primary school?
So I went to primary school in South Africa and moved to Australia just before starting high school and went to high school at Belmont High.
Oh,
in
wow.
Geelong. Yeah.
So whereabouts in South Africa were you?
In Durban.
In Durban.
Yeah.
So were you there when the whole apartheid thing was changing and splitting and Nelson Mandela was splitting?
Yes, yeah, we were there. So we moved to Australia in about 1988, and when I look back on my journey, that's probably been an instrumental part of who I am today. That sort of transition from a fairly sort of very insular culture to we moved to Ipswich, just below Brisbane, and lived in high density social housing there, and just saw this amazing diversity and amazing breadth of cultures, and gave me that kind of thirst for really understanding diversity and cultures. And it was really interesting. We came across, and my parents knew that we wouldn't be able to afford much when we got here because of the exchange rates and the like. So they bought all our clothes for 2 years while we were in South Africa, and South Africa's fashion was probably about 20 years behind Australia's at that time. So, we stood out. We stood out because of our accents, and we stood out because of the clothes we were wearing for 2 years. And, we're excluded because of that, and that's given me that real sort of thirst for inclusion and understanding what it feels like to be excluded and how important inclusion is. So,
Wow.
yeah, it kind of shapes you a little bit,
It
doesn't
does
it?
shape you. Yeah, absolutely.
But Mark, Belmont High School again. A number of our guests have been to Belmont High School. And when you're in the secondary college there, do you have any ambitions or what you wanted to do? Did you have any idea of what you wanted
well, it's interesting. I'm still working out what I want to do, I think. But, I wanted to be a pilot at that stage. And I remember going to a careers expo, and it was one of the sort of pilots in the sort of Defence Force said, look, just letting you know, only about 1% of people make it to being a pilot. And I thought, oh, well, stuff that, I'll buy my own plane. And I went and did some research on commercial planes and worked out they probably start at $40 million at that stage. And I'm like, okay, that's not where I'm going to go. So I ended up following in my dad's footsteps and started doing mechanical engineering at Deakin in Warren Ponds. And I distinctly remember in the first year learning about ball bearings and gears and going, this is not me. Absolutely not me. And transitioned to doing environmental engineering, chemistry, science. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. What shifted you from Ipswich to Geelong?
So my dad was in the automotive industry, and I think what drew a lot of people to Geelong at that time was Ford. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we've
Did you-
interviewed a few people with Ford.
Speaking of that, there was a show on SBS, I think, last night called DNA, and a group of people were in the
Geelong.
audience.
It was in Geelong.
Yeah, and when they did all the two things, most of Geelong has actually got British ancestry. That was the big issue that came. But there was a whole cohort in there that had a link to the Ford Motor Company. The Ford Motor Company has set up, is responsible for so much what happened in Geelong.
Bringing so much to Geelong.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and I also think it's responsible for that, I guess, that strong manufacturing DNA that we've got in Geelong, and it'll create opportunity ongoing into the future. Yeah.
Well, whilst you're at high school, did you have a part-time job?
Yes, I had a number of part-time jobs. I started as a dishwasher. And it used to be called the Preston Hotel. I think it's called the Sporting Globe now. And then as I kind of went from high school onwards, I moved to making pizzas there, to being a glassy, to working behind the bar, to actually running the bar. And it was the one of only 2 nightclubs in Geelong that was open past 3 o'clock in the morning. And it used to be dead quiet till 3, and then just ridiculously busy between 3 and 7 a.m. And I would say I learnt a lot about life
and people
in that job. I had a side hustle at the time, and it was my own business called the Drip Brothers. And, it's interesting that I've ended up in water, but we were doing irrigation systems in people's homes. So, I had a combi wagon and a combi van, and in the back of that was full of irrigation stuff, basically.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I haven't seen him for a while, but I've got an old friend whose name was Gary Fawcett, and he started a marketing company called Tap Productions.
Tap Productions, there you go.
Right? It's funny how things turn out.
Connections of So when you finished Deakin, then where were you looking at going to?
Well, I hadn't finished at Deakin, and I won a work experience prize over the summer holidays, and it was like, I guess you kind of talk about those sliding doors, fork in the road moments, like, oh my gosh, like, do I spend the summer holidays surfing and barbing and catching up with mates, or do I do this work experience? And I chose that, and look, I haven't looked back since then. It was with the Water Authority based in Warrnambool, so I moved down to Warrnambool and did a project there looking at the impact of the ocean outfall on the marine biology. And I didn't end up going back to uni. I finished uni part-time, worked with them, and have just been deeply involved in the water sector since.
So that got you in and
into the water sector.
So you obviously didn't start out thinking I'd be in water, but
no. It's interesting. Like, there's elements when I look back and go, well, there were some call signs like the Drip Brothers business. I know I used to give mum and dad the irrits because I'd always be digging channels in their backyard and their beautiful grass and making sort of dams and channels and stuff like that. So there was a little bit in me, I think. But yeah, no, it's. And I think life's a bit like that. It's kind of, you follow your nose. You sort of create opportunities through the work you do and the studies you do, but you also follow your nose into the opportunities as well. So yeah.
So from Warrnambool, where did you move to?
Yeah, so in Warrnambool, I quickly moved into a role as in a management role there, and I thought to myself, gosh, here I am trying to be a manager and I don't even have any sort of foundational skills. I was less than a year out of uni sort of thing. So I wanted to get some real sort of core skills. So I thought I'd love to be involved in operating treatment plants. So a job came up with Barwon Water that involved operating the lawn water treatment plant. And as for someone who likes surfing, I was like, oh my gosh, I could not ask for a better role. So I came across to Barwon Water and we started operating the lawn water treatment plant. Yeah.
Oh, now, Mark, did you know that the water in Lawn has been voted the best, most potable water in Australia?
It is the best,
how's that?
Best tasting water in Victoria. We're going for the
Victoria.
We're going for the Australian awards now.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, I know, having operated that plant, I know how hard it is to create good water out of it. And so I rang the operator when we won. I said, obviously congratulations, but what's your secret? And he said, there's a couple of things that. he's been planting lemon gums in the catchment, and he reckons that's helped infuse
Lemon
the
water.
water.
Lemon
Interesting.
and that he knows what he's doing, and I maybe didn't. So.
That's really cool. Because it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's so frustrating that we buy bottles of water because it's convenient, yet the best water is coming out of your tap.
Out of your tap, yeah. Something that,
it's just
24/7 it comes out of your tap, and it's something that you can take for granted. And that's why I think it's important to connect back to waterways and see where water comes from. Yeah.
Right. So from lawn water to Barwon water.
What happened there? Yeah. So I was running the lawn water treatment plant, and then sort of just was lucky enough to get opportunity after opportunity to then run all of Barwon Water's water treatment plants, and was loving the whole process world. I think that chemical science side of things, and then an opportunity came up. There was a new technology in a company called Orica that was trying to break the market with this new technology in water treatment, and we had really tricky water to treat in Aries Inlet at that time. And I managed to convince them to build that technology in a plant at Aries Inlet for free on the deal that they wanted to sell this technology to the world. And Aries Inlet water treatment plant was on top of the hill looking over the Great Ocean Road. So what a great place to bring people from around the world and kind of look at the view and, by the way, buy the technology. So I managed to get that built for Barwon Water for free. When I say for free, there was like a commercial arrangement around it. And that sort of turned my mind to, oh my gosh, you can achieve great outcomes through commerciality.
Yep.
And I went and studied my MBA, did my MBA, and that got me into the whole sort of the business side of things. And then when I went on to get a job with Orica, establishing a water treatment business with them, which was an amazing opportunity. It was an Australia-wide role with global links as well, and I was travelling all over the place and having a great time. And then we thought about actually starting a family, and thought, well, if we want to start a family, this is the place we want to live. And there was a project just trying to get over the line at that stage, which was the Northern Water Plant, which is a recycling facility, a partnership with, at that time, it was Shell, federal, state, government and Barwon Water. And so I came back to run that project. Yeah.
So is Orica still doing that sort of water treatment stuff? Is that still part of their DNA?
Orica, they sold that part of the business. It's called Ixom now. Yeah.
And they're still
doing it.
Still working on the technology.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. So what led to you now taking the role as managing director? How did that come about?
Probably, I guess that's a leadership journey story, isn't it? I suppose, and I don't know. It's leadership becomes a passion, doesn't it? And being able to, make a difference to the region we live in, the community we enjoy. Leadership is such a powerful way to do that. So,
all right, we'll put you on the spot now.
Here's the famous question he asks.
We go downstairs or go around your sites and we run a questionnaire. Describe Shaun's leadership style. What response would I get?
My response might depend who you ask, I don't know. But look, I would say I have an ever-evolving, growing leadership style. And when I look back on my journey, there's probably been 5 big building blocks, and there'll be more to come. So the first one was actually when I was a 15 or 16-year-old, and I was a scout at that stage, and we were hiking out the back of Anglesey, a bunch of kids hiking together.
Umarilla camp?
Yes, Umarilla Way. And we were lost. We were completely lost, and it was getting dark, and some of us were starting to cry because we were really scared, and I was like, well, someone's got to sort this out. And so I kind of stepped up and sort of worked our way out how we were going to get through the situation. And it kind of was like, wow, leadership's about stepping up. It doesn't matter who you are, like stepping up. The second lesson was, I call it my sort of back pocket. And I used to really suffer from imposter syndrome, still do, but really suffer from it. And I worked out, well, actually, we all have different things in our back pocket, and it all makes us special, and everyone's kind of good at different things. And the third building block was I was fortunate enough to run an alliance that was an alliance between Barwon Water, a big construction company, John Holland, and GHD Design Company. And at the start, that was hard work. Like, there are 3 different organisations, all different reporting lines, and we were just getting things done through really hard work, and it was exhausting. And there was a moment of realisation that we all needed to unite around a common purpose and a common set of values. And I started putting my leadership effort into that, and the hard work became easier. And then all of a sudden, the culture just formed to a point that I was running to keep up with it rather than being the one trying to push it. And that investing in people, investing in culture, is really kind of a deep passion that I've got since then. And then I was lucky enough to work with Tracy Slatter and really learnt about the value of purpose and value-driven leadership. And I remember going through a journey, and this was probably about 7 years ago, going, gosh, I'm doing stuff, but really am I connecting to my purpose and value? And kind of went through, it was a 2 or 3 year sort of self-exploration journey where I kind of worked out, well, actually, what makes me tick is connection to community, connection to environment, and doing stuff in a creative, commercial and collaborative way. And it's like, okay, well, that's what is my passion, and connecting to that, and then I think you become a truly authentic leader. Then once you connect with that, and the final sort of learnings I'm going through at the moment is I've just done leading through a cultural lens program, and that's really sort of opening my mind to both First Nations and Western leadership, and where the kind of the intersect is between the two.
Interesting.
And it's complementing some work I did a little while ago in a program called Executive Leadership for Women in Water, where I worked out it's not okay as a leader just to be inclusive yourself. You actually have the real power and opportunity to create systemic change and be a real advocate and be very proactive around inclusion and creating change for diversity and the likes as well.
Shaun, well, 2 things I'm going to ask. First comment is it's about winning the hearts and minds. That's absolutely paramount. And I'm big on having a vision for the future. And then you've got to win the hearts and minds. And everyone's got on board the old good to great, get on the same bus. However, you haven't answered my original question.
Oh, right.
Right? So we'll not let you get
in terms of
I won't let you get away with it.
What would they say about me?
What key words do you think we might hear?
Driven, passionate, energetic. What else? Growth focused. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. And your preamble to all of that did make sense to come to the last one.
There you go.
Yeah.
We got there.
And it's good because you've identified how to
happen
and how it happens,
and it will continue to happen.
Which is really interesting.
Well, that's self-awareness.
It is self-awareness.
It is. And I would suspect that you do a fair bit of reflection of what I've heard this morning. And that's important.
Yeah, it is important. I guess one of my other passions outside of work, I've got lots of passions outside of work, but one of them is running, and I find that's a point of where I can defrag and not actually have to think, but there's reflection going on, and you'll get back from a run, and a couple of hours later, some pennies will drop, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah. So that was obviously sitting in there, and out it's come. Yeah,
that's really cool. So you put in the hot seat at Barwon Water, a well-recognised organisation, and probably spoken about with some affection, I would say, in Geelong. I don't think I ever hear anybody make disparaging remarks about the organisation. So what are the challenges? What's there's challenges today because we know there's no rainfall. But where do you see this leading to, Shaun? What in the next 5 years? What's your vision for Barwon Water?
Yeah, well, so our vision is around enabling regional prosperity. It's at the heart of what we do, and we really understand that the value of water in terms of our region's prosperity from a cultural, social, economic, and environmental perspective. And And we see the challenges, and we feel the challenges in terms of climate change and sustainable population growth and equity divides, and we know that the role we play can make a big difference in those areas. So there's lots of transformations that we're doing in terms of enabling regional prosperity, but I think there's probably 3 headline ones that stand out in terms of really sort of transforming how we value water and where we source water from. So going from a position of probably taking water from rivers and the environment to returning water to the rivers and environment, and diversifying where we get water from into the future in terms of a whole range of different sources, from ongoing from rivers and groundwater in a sustainable way, but also diversifying into recycled water and desalination and the likes as well. The other big transition, and I think all businesses going through this, in the digital space, and the real opportunities that come from us around sort of digitising all our networks and the data we get from that, and the ability to optimise our customer experience and affordability and what we offer, and particularly as we now lean into AI and all the opportunities that's bringing. And we've got some exciting projects, like in lawn, we've got AI looking over our sewer system and predicting sewer overflows before they happen, and sending crews out before they happen, which is pretty exciting. I row on the Barwon 3 mornings a week, and you've got a major pumping system down there, right? And sometimes it overflows. And are you talking about predicting those sorts of issues? Yes, yeah.
In fact,
definitely.
it was on the nose this week, I think.
Yeah, that's it. So we're putting sensors throughout the sewer network, and the project I was talking about at Lawn will be rolled out across our whole network. And let's say we were 3 individual nodes in the sewer network, we'd be talking to each other in the future, and I'd be saying, hey, look, I'm feeling a bit full. Are you feeling full, Mark? Are you feeling full, Bill? And sort of working out, okay, I've got something wrong here, and calling out before we get to that point of overflow.
That's right. Just picking up the digital, because we chatted before we started, so putting digital water meters in every home in the Geelong, the Barwon water catchment.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going through a rollout of digital meters throughout. The first towns to get full digital meters will be Apollo Bay and Lawn, because they have some tighter water security issues. But we'll be rolling out digital meters to every house, which will give you great information in terms of how you're using water and where your opportunities are, and notify you when you've got a leak, but also it enables us to understand what's going across the whole network and be able to identify leaks on our side of the pipes as well.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about recycling of I guess sewage is the key issue, and we know there are countries around the world that do this well, and they use it in domestic situations. Black Rock has a recycling system, and you're producing compost and all sorts of issues, but you've also got is it an A and B class water? Is that how you classify it?
Yeah, A, B, C, yep.
So just a quick explanation, how does all that work?
And that's probably the third major transformational area, is turning waste into high value resources. So you're spot on. And at Black Rock, we have recycled water that we use currently. If you live in Torquay North or Armstrong Creek, you've got a purple pipe at your house which has got recycled water for use in gardens and toilets and the likes. And then also there's a number of agribusinesses that are using recycled water. As we look out over the bay across to the Viva refinery, they've got the Northern Water Plant there that actually recycles water from the northern parts of Geelong and the refinery. And feeds that back into the refinery, and that used to be drinking water that was used there. So there's lots of opportunities, and look, if you look at a place like Black Rock, it's evolved from being I suppose a place that was seen as a waste centre to now a resource precinct. So it's producing recycled water, it's generating its own energy through solar power. It is producing high-value organic products as well that are used in farms. throughout Victoria, South Australia, Tassie and New South Wales. Yeah.
And I read your newsletter last night.
Oh,
you
great.
just released a
There you
newsletter,
go.
correct?
Yes,
When
yeah.
in my stalking before today's interview, and it spoke about the pipeline from Melbourne.
Yes.
So there's a 59 kilometres, I think it
Yep,
said, to
yep,
be exact,
yep, yep.
pipeline from Werribee to Lovely Banks.
Yes, yes.
And our pre-discussion before this, there's an indication that Geelong can't survive without any external water being pumped into the system. Is that correct?
Well, so our water future involves, we like to call it savings, smarts and sources. And we spoke a bit about the smarts bit around the digitising our networks. The sources bit, we are diversifying our sources. So currently we have sources from the Otways, from the Moorabool area, and an interconnection to the broader Melbourne grid. And as we sort of all grow, Melbourne's growing, Geelong's growing, we'll invest jointly in our water future. And that's diversifying from, I would say, sort of rainfall-based sources to desalination and recycled water and all that sort of stuff, which gives us that resilience. And like you say, it's dry right now, and the pipeline between Melbourne and Geelong is providing, on a day like today when the sun's out, about 40 to 50% of our water. And we don't receive water directly from the desal, but the desal feeds into the grid and frees up water that enables us to do that draw. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look into it, isn't it?
And look, the other question that pops up is there are areas of Australia, as in North, where they get tons of water. And has there ever been a thought about a dam there and then piping it all the way down? Is that, or is it just unfeasible to?
Well, it becomes there's a number of considerations, but it becomes a baseline consideration. It's just economy, like the dollars behind it. So these days you can build desalination plants closer to the source, probably at a lower cost than a big dam and a huge pipeline. I guess what I will say about our water future is it's just multiple sources, and that diversity of the sources is so important. And quite often, whether it be in the water space or the energy space, people try to pick a winner and go, this is the solution. I say it's a portfolio. It's always a portfolio of solutions, and they all have their role. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And how long you've lived in Geelong?
So I've lived in Geelong. I think if you add it up, it'll be 30 years probably.
30
I've
years.
been in and out.
So you've seen the change over that period. Okay, let's go forward another 5-10 years. Describe Geelong.
Well, Geelong's an exciting space to be in, and some of the stuff that we've spoken about. I think Geelong has a unique competitive advantage against the world, basically, in terms of the diversity of industry that we've got here, but just how connected we are. And if I can speak from a regional leadership point of view, we are all sort of connected on the same sense of purpose around the region we live in. And if you look into the future, the opportunities come from that connection in terms of some of the stuff I've been talking about in the circular economy and advanced manufacturing and all that sort of stuff. So Geelong has a great muscle memory in manufacturing and some real great skills through the Gordon and the Deakin that's just going to ignite, I think.
Fantastic. A great discussion. So I knew we need to get to Shaun and have a
That's
chat
right.
with him. So Shaun, thank you.
Thank you.
That's been a really interesting journey, and wish you and the team at Barwon all success, because we need water, and I think we're in safe hands. Bill?
Well, many pundits around the world say that there will be a war over water at some stage in the future. So you've got to get it right, Shaun, because we don't need any of that sort of activity. And thank you for joining us on our interview.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.